a bunch of money, is about to, well, with de Blasio being a socialist, communist type of dictator wannabe, yeah, I guess he really doesn't care about saving any money. But White House, the story goes here on Newsmax.com, White House hopeful Donald Trump may be ahead. Where am I? Oh, yes, he might be ahead in the opinion polls, but his hometown of New York becomes the latest to shun the tycoon for insulting immigrants and war hero John McCain. Now, Donald Trump doesn't represent the views of the people of this city, certainly not the majority. Well, I would, like to disagree with you, Mayor Bill de Blasio. The majority of Americans do want border control. They do believe that illegal immigrants, not all, but they do believe a good significant number of illegal immigrants commit a lot of crime. A lot of conservatives do question the loyalty and heroism of John McCain, and they're, even liberals have made fun of John McCain's, heroism, because he can't raise his arms above his shoulders or his head or what have you. They've made fun of that. They've made fun of him, but that's okay. Donald Trump does it, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, you shouldn't do that. But what Donald Trump was saying is that, just because he was captured doesn't make him a war hero. There's got to be more to it than that. And he's absolutely right. And if he is a war hero, then his treatment of his fellow vets is less than stellar. Again, Donald Trump is right about that. So de Blasio, you got to be careful when you're stepping. Trump, and a lot of people, as the polls indicate, happen to agree with Trump. It's probably not a good thing. Not even in New York City, it's probably not a good thing for you. And right now, you got a lot of Democrat Jews down there in New York City who are scratching their head on Obama's treatment of Israel. They're like, wait a minute, I'm a Jew. And I voted for you, and this is the way you're going to treat, me, my vote, in my homeland. Or are you kidding me? You're going to give Iran a weapon that can wipe out my people? They kind of not liking it. So, but anyway, asked whether there was a campaign on the Democrat city council to cut any existing contracts with Trump's business empire, de Blasio said he did not want to do business with the billionaire. On any existing contracts, he said he was not sure whether it was possible to break them off. Oh, well, yeah, you got a contract, got to fulfill it. We're certainly not looking to do any business with him going forward. Well, if it's simply because, what he said about John McCain, that would be kind of stupid to do. I mean, if I were a New York City resident, I'd be like, well, does Donald Trump's business relationship, is it good for the city? Regardless of what he says privately, is it good for the city? If the answer is yes, then de Blasio, you'd be an idiot, a fool, a stupid jerk to break off relations with his businesses. Because if you're doing business with Trump's organizations, it means that the people of New York are benefiting from Trump's expertise, whatever it may be, like, finishing an ice skating rink that the city couldn't do in 5 years, and he did it in less than a year. Adding jobs and increasing the value of Manhattan by putting up, all kinds of housing and office towers and condos and that kind of. Hey, don't want to do that anymore? Fine. Trump's already international. He doesn't need New York City anymore. I mean, just think about it. Do you want to force him out of the city? So kind of like you did with Rush Limbaugh, so you don't get his taxes? I mean, how dumb would that be? But then again, nobody ever said that liberals were intelligent or even, halfway smart. They don't do things that are logical. They'll bite off their own hand and then tell you that it was a good thing to do. because even though they're asking somebody else now to scratch their back, but that's the de Blasio for you. That's the way it rolls down there. Politico Politico.com is reporting in their under the radar posting by Josh Gerstein. Judge Gerstein is Gerstein. Judge Halt's deposition for Bill and Hillary Clinton. Now, the Clintons were ordered to give a deposition because there was somebody that was suing them. Let's just put it that way. And now a federal judge is blocking this deposition. So the Clintons are getting away with this kind of stuff simply by, buying, well, I'm not going to say buying, but having influence of judges, I guess. It's kind of nice to have a judge as a friend, is it not? Well, I would know. I don't have any close friends that are judges. If I ever get a close friend who becomes a judge, I will let you know what it's like, what it feels like. But until then, I don't know what it's like, but evidently the Clintons now do. A federal judge has blocked a conservative activist's plans to force presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and former President Bill Clinton to testify in deposition stemming from a lawsuit claiming the Clinton Foundation operated as a racketeering enterprise, shaking down donors in exchange for official favors. Now, U.S. District Court Judge Donald Middlebrooks, that's his last name is Middlebrooks, spelled just as it sounds, Middle and Brooks. Middlebrooks, one word, one name, issued an order Tuesday barring legal gadfly Larry Klayman from proceeding with his plans to conduct videotape depositions of the Clintons in Washington next week. Now, Middlebrooks' order does not offer a reason for the ruling. Yeah, this is the whole thing about this activist judges that people are getting upset about. Oh, look, I talked to somebody over the weekend who was telling, he was giving me a rather logical argument for limiting the terms of judges and to be able to impeach them. We're not really supposed to get, our founding fathers didn't want the judicial system to become political. And he said, well, as you probably know, it already is. They're writing law from the bench. They're giving unconstitutional orders from the bench. They're doing whatever they damn well please from the bench simply because they're judges and they don't think that anybody can stand up to them and reverse what their rulings are. And he has a point. And this Judge Middlebrook is making another point that he feels that he doesn't have to offer a reason. You don't have to. I'm going to block this deposition for Bill and Hillary. But, Your Honor, why? I don't have to give you a reason. It's my order. Plain and simple. I'm the judge, not you. Lawyers for the Clintons and for the foundation have asked Middlebrooks to toss out the case and to halt discovery while he considers whether the lawsuit should be dismissed. I don't know how you can just decide to not do depositions or discovery. I mean, how else would you know if the case should go on? I mean, think about it for a second. You want to toss out the case and halt discovery while you are considering whether the lawsuit should be dismissed. Well, aren't you going to have to dismiss it on the lack of its merits? Well, if there's lack of merit, how would you know if you can't do any discovery? If you can't investigate? That makes no sense. Now, the Clintons' lawyers contend Klayman has a history of filing meritless lawsuits and that he should not be allowed to demand evidence in connection with a case that is likely to be dismissed, unless that evidence actually proves his case. I mean, look, you can't fault the lawyers for trying to get this tossed out. That's their job. They're supposed to try to get it tossed out. But the judge is supposed to know better. The judge is supposed to say and scratch his head and say, well, you know what, Clinton lawyers, how am I going to know if there's no merit to this case if we do not look at all the evidence? I mean, the whole point of this is to gather the evidence, present to me the evidence to see if there is, a reasonable argument for moving forward. So if we can't gather the evidence, that would be like telling a prosecutor, you know what? Yeah, a prosecutor who's trying to convict somebody of murder. That's like telling the prosecutor, you know what? No more. You can't use the cops to investigate anymore. You can't, talk to to any witnesses. You can't get their depositions or anything. So we're just while I'm trying to think and see if this case should go to trial, you can't develop any evidence. You can't do any investigation. That would never fly. I mean, the prosecutor would be able to appeal that in a heartbeat, and any judge above this, that particular judge would say, "What are you, crazy? Yeah, judge, no, stupid, slap you. No, go ahead and do your investigation." The same thing here. You're accusing, you're suing them. You want to sue them to try to prove that they were doing these types of illegal things, and you're going to say, "Well, no more discovery until the judge decides to throw the case out." Well, how is he going to know to throw the case out unless you actually do some investigating? If you do investigating and you find nothing, then throw it out, fine. But what if you find something and they present it to the judge then? Is the judge just supposed to ignore it? I think that's what they want. Now, Clayton's lawsuit alleges that Hillary Clinton's use of private email server while serving as Secretary of State interfered with the responses to Freedom of Information Act request he filed, and that the Clintons used the system to obscure a scheme to demand to trade official favors for donations to the Clinton Foundation. Now, look, he's not the only one saying this. There are congressmen and senators who are kind of saying the same thing. And Clinton has not been very forthcoming with this second server information email stuff. Not at all. Not forthcoming at all. She's obfuscated every chance that she's given to do so to prevent I've given 50,000 emails. Well, what about the 50,000 you didn't give us? Of course, you gave us the whitewash versions. We want the nitty gritty stuff. What about those things? Look, this is probably the only way to go to get some of this information out finally. But they're looking for a favorable judge to rule their way. Hey, it is that time of the night again, where that sound now plays, which means that we are done for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow. But until then, I want everybody to have a wonderful night. I am yours truly, Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.